and welcome to this another, I should say, another lunchtime learning session here for Sage CRM. I'm currently up in the Shard in London Bridge, which is our London offices for Sage. Very good to have everyone here. I'm just checking to see that everything is recording correctly and transcribing correctly. And it looks like it is, so that's a great relief for me. I'm going to go quiet just for a moment while I finish a task off before we begin. Hello and welcome to this training course. This session is on the customer care features of Sage CRM. So I'm very grateful for everyone joining me on this. I think we are now the 8th lesson within the cycle of training that makes up the Sage CRM user fundamentals. What we're looking at here today is looking at everything that flows from a customer service experience within inside Sage CRM. And we're going to be looking at two broad topics. We're going to be looking at how customer service requests can be logged inside Sage CRM, how they can be workflowed, and then we're going to have a look at the idea of solutions within Sage CRM as well. Everything that we are covering within the training should be found up on the Sage Support and Training YouTube channel as of today. All of the lessons are currently up within the course Sage CRM User Fundamentals, and you can always use the Sage Training YouTube channel as a way of catching up on all of your CRM skills. We're going to go straight into some practical use of Sage CRM now, and to do that, or rather just before we do that, I'm going to point out that there are in fact 4 main ways in which customer service requests can be entered into Sage CRM. First of all, there is a tool called the Advanced Email Manager, which is designed to parse and monitor an email account and parse emails sent to that email account and have automated work being carried out inside Sage CRM. And that's got the capabilities of being able to read an email, understand it as by who it was sent to and what it contains, to be a support request or perhaps a complaint or perhaps a returns material authorization request, and then have that allocated to the correct person to automatically reply to the customer, to have a customer service request created and to attach to the appropriate workflow. All of that can be automated with the Advanced Email Manager. We can also use the idea of a self-service portal within the self-service API of Sage CRM to allow for self-service customer care issues to be monitored, to be reported, to be progressed as well by the customer themselves, with additional resources and files being provided directly through the corporate website. That obviously takes some work, and that's you're making use of the self-service API, and that also raises the question about using the general API options within Sage CRM to generate customer care issues inside Sage CRM. And of course, there's manual entry, and that's the one that we're really going to be looking at now. It doesn't matter how the item gets into Sage CRM. Ultimately, they all have this focus on progression by users with a mix of user-driven actions or through automated actions on the basis of time or change of quality of data, looking at triggers within inside the system that cause behavior to go on and progress the customer care issue. Now, I'm going to log on to a standard Sage CRM demo system as a customer service manager. The particular demo user I'm using is Kylie Ward, and here you can see that her opening dashboard displays details of her KPIs. It has overviews of the current issues in progress across the company and team, and it allows her to take immediate action on any one of those elements. Now, what we can also see is that, and we'll be looking at this in a later course, is how we ourselves can create our own dashboards around our own business needs, how we can add in behavior like workflow directly in there, including charts, etc., directly from within this workspace area. But I am going to hop onto another tab within the context of my CRM, and this is the case list, and it's showing here a list of cases as well as the pipeline, and this provides a visual representation of all of the cases as they progress through different workflow stages, and it helps users track the status and progress of cases, providing insight into the workload and any potential bottlenecks that are existing within inside the system. The pipeline view is useful for understanding the overall flow of cases, helping us ensure a timely resolution. And there's another bit of information that is displayed on this page. This is the service level agreement status field on the case list. And in Sage CRM, this shows the current status of a case in relationship to the agreed service levels. And this field indicates whether the case is within the expected response and resolution times as defined by the service level agreement. Now, it helps users quickly identify cases that are at risk of breaching the service level agreement or those that have already breached it. And there's a whole set of automated behavior that can happen as certain steps within that service level agreement escalation process takes place. And it all allows for timely intervention and management. Now, I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment, and then there is another course that is specifically about service level agreements. But this, where we are now, is I followed a hyperlink on that previous screen. I've clicked on the name of a user, and you can see that this takes me to the person summary screen. Now, the person I happened to select was Kieran O'Toole, who works for a company called Eurolandia. And so we're interested in this training session on the customer service issue. So if I click to look at the cases, you can see that there's an existing case recorded by Kieran O'Toole and against the company Eurolandia. And if I look here, you can see that I could choose to create a new case just by clicking on the new case button. And in fact, there's another way in which I can cause to create a new case, because I can actually use the standard new menu as well. Now, one of the things about this is that I can choose new buttons, um, and this will start the creation of a case record and attach it to a particular workflow. Now, there can be multiple workflows used within Sage CRM. So I happen to have had a system within which there is only one case workflow, but there could actually be a workflow that is designed for complaints or returns or for other purposes. So you might have a customer service request being used to manage consultancy, or it could be used for escalation to other teams. So there are going to be, within a workflow, there's going to be a set of core fields, and you can see that I've highlighted here some fields in an area called the details screen, which define, if you like, the main elements that we want to make sure are completed. Now, this screen is under the control of the system administrator, just as everything is under the control of the system administrator. But importantly, if you are following a particular workflow, then depending on the workflow and where you are within that workflow, different fields may be presented to you within an area of the screen called the status area. And that status area is, if you like, the very defining element of what needs to be completed, what needs to be done at this point that is specific to the workflow stage you're in. And let's assume that I've completed the fields. We may find that some of these fields are mandatory. And if they're mandatory and I attempt to progress the data without completing the information, you will see that there is an error when I attempt to save. Now, it is important again to note that the system administrator can define which fields become required within a workflow at whatever point within the workflow the field becomes necessary. And all of this is codeless behavior. It's just a matter of configuration for the system administrator. And so if I progress that, now I've corrected the data, so I've put in some missing data, and I'll just save that. Now, I've saved this, and in saving the record, I have attached it to a workflow. So it is within inside the workflow. Now, case workflow inside Sage CRM serves several important purposes. The first is the idea of standardization. It ensures that all cases are going to be consistently followed through certain predefined steps and processes. And that standardization helps maintain quality and efficiency in the customer management, customer care management. It also, by prompting fields at the right time to the user, the workflow provides guidance to the users on the actions that they need to take for each stage of solving the problem. So it is, if you like, it's a very structured way of ensuring that users carry out the right action at the right time. Users understand their responsibilities and the next steps required to resolve the customer care issue. If I take that idea a little bit further on, you can see that what I've just done is I've clicked the queue workflow action to progress the case. And what you'll notice is that the status fields have been presented again. And here I can start to enter in a tracking note. Now, a tracking note is really all about monitoring. So the workflow allows for tracking the progress of a case as it moves through the different stages towards resolution. This visibility helps managers and team members monitor the status of cases and to identify any, again, bottlenecks that might occur within inside the system. You can start to see, and this is entering data that is reportable on, and you can start to understand what issues might be entered as you are filling in the tracking information. So I've changed the data that needs to be changed at this point. And again, exactly what data needs to be changed is under the control of the system administrator. So it matches business requirements exactly. But here you can see that there's an element of accountability taking place by defining specific actions and responsibilities within the workflow. Sage CRM is going to record who has done what when, and the tracking information, the tracking note allows you to record why certain action has taken place. Each user knows their role within the process and can be held accountable for their part in resolving the issue. And if I click Save now to complete this particular workflow step, some of the workflow behavior was obviously visible to me, but there could have been other behavior that could have automatically changed data elsewhere within the system, or perhaps even sent a message or an alert to the customer themselves or to colleagues. And this idea of automated behavior within the context of workflow means that actions and decisions within the workflow can have their efficiency really improved, because you're removing that idea of manual intervention, and so speeding up the resolution process for a customer. If you're constantly telling the user that customer, this has been done, they get a sense of management and management of their expectations. And if I step forward to this slide, I've actually just taken a jump out of that experience of the user, and I'm now looking at the system administrator screen. So I've switched over to look at what the system administrator sees inside the graphical workflow screens. This is a graphical representation of all of the different workflow steps and the stages that are being followed. It allows us to understand that there are certain, where we are within the workflow, there are certain points in which actions will become available. So far we followed the workflow from the record as it was created through the new case workflow action to the point where we've just queued the service request. And because we've just queued the service request here, other actions will become available. And that's what the idea of this graphical workflow is representing. And when I now switch back into the Sage CRM screen, this is the screen that the user sees, that the workflow actions that are appropriate at this point then are displayed on the right hand side of the screen, and that's the area called actions, and these are the workflow actions. Now I'm going to advance the case through this workflow by clicking on the investigating button. And so if I click on the investigating button, you can see that this is where the status data has been updated again, and I can add a note to explain my action, and I'll save this again. So the workflow fields change, and I have the opportunity to progress the customer service request. And if I look at the tracking tab, I can see exactly what's happened so far. I can see the steps that I've taken through the workflow. I can see the status fields that have changed, and I can also see the explanatory notes that are useful for colleagues to understand the actions that have been taken. And so if I look at another tab, you can see that an email is already being recorded as being sent to the customer regarding this service request. Now, this could either have been sent automatically by the workflow actions, or it could have been sent by the user manually as they have confirmed to the customer that their issue has been logged. So that email could have originated either automatically or through user-driven behavior. Now I can also see under the Documents tab any files that have been saved against the service request. And so we could have saved different documents against this customer service request, just as so we could save it against an opportunity or any element within Sage CRM. And if I click now on this tab, this is the Solutions tab. And the idea of the Solutions function is to show any resolutions for a case that might be in a knowledge base that are linked to this customer service request. We can think of solutions as being the if the customer care problem is the request or the problem, then the solution is the corresponding answer or resolution to that problem. And as part of my investigation, I want to be able to check to see if there is any known issue that has a resolution and action associated with it inside the knowledge base. So I want to be able to resolve my customer's problem by investigating internally to see if someone else has solved that particular problem. So I've just, within the solutions context, I've clicked the link solution button, and I'm going to search, because their topic is about reports, I'm going to see that I'm searching for reports, and you can also see that I'm using a wildcard. And you can see that there's a couple of solutions that are appropriate within the knowledge base. There's also a find screen that I could use, but I've just used the quick search box. But here I've chosen one of those and that I want to link, and I'm going to click Save. And you can see now I have associated a knowledge base article with this particular service, between this particular customer service request. Now, if I click Link Solution again, I can start to repeat the search, but this time it's going to automatically ignore solutions that have already been linked to the case. And because there are only two that had the word report in them, here you can see it automatically suggests the one that matches my search. So now I have two linked solutions, and you can see that this list has checkboxes against the values and a delete selected link button to unlink any solution that may no longer be appropriate. And I can still create my own solution if neither of these two solutions are ones that are relevant to our customer. So if I start that process of choosing to create a new case, I'm doing it in the context. So I'm starting to create a new solution, and I'm doing this in the context of the case. This allows me to answer the customer's problem. And here I've put in so the details of a solution. And please note, what we're seeing is very much a simplified screen. If you are implementing solutions within Sage CRM, this screen could be very much more complex and expansive, as you may want to have lots of different environmental information being held here, depending on the nature of what the knowledge base is storing and how it's being used. But let's see that I filled in the data, and I'm just going to click Save. And you can see that that I now have a solution record created, and it's very similar really to the case entity. It has a workflow associated with it, and the system administrator can configure this in any way around a organization's needs. It has workflow, and in the example here, the assumption is that the workflow for solutions are going to be eventually published as knowledge base articles or KB articles, and that will be published ultimately to a support website, perhaps using the Sage CRM self-service API or the REST API. So let's step on and think about how this, like any other entity within Sage CRM, it's being workflowed. So you can see I'm starting to get to it being published. You can see that I can keep tracking notes that record its progress. And in this example, I want this solution to be published as a knowledge base article. So I do need to click on the, after reviewing the solution and update the status in the tracking data, I want to make sure that this is published. And here you can see I've completed the journey. Now, any solution within Sage CRM has a corresponding cases tab there up in the top menu, horizontal menu. In the context, I can click on cases and I can see that this solution was created and associated with an existing case. So I can actually return to my case by following the hyperlink. So I can click on that hyperlink and I can jump across and I can see for this case, the solutions tab, which is where you will see the 3 solutions I've now associated with this case. So if I've got 3 cases, I can now I've got 3 potential solutions for my customer. I can now email the customer, sending them details of the published KB articles available on the customer support portal. And of course, that assumes that this is all being configured as part of the implementation of Sage CRM. It may well be very different in the site that you are using, but that's down to the nature of the customizability of Sage CRM. So if I send that email, you can see that the email has now gone. It's gone to the customer, and I can see the correspondence and communications that I've had with the customer about this solution all listed here. And so the case that it's within goes, if I click on to the main summary here, I'm looking at the customer care issue again. I can review and I can continue working on this customer care issue. So I've clicked through and I'm describing the action that I've suggested, and you can see that I've reached the end of my particular workflow. I've closed the case. Now, of course, not all customer service requests are as straightforward as this in real life. But what we've seen in this course is that Sage CRM provides a dedicated case entity to manage customer service requests. And those customer cases can represent issues such as support requests, complaints, return materials authorizations. They can also be used or come into existence really through a variety of mechanisms, through the Advanced Mail Manager, the self-service API, other API-based integrations, and manual entry as well. So all sorts of integrations can be bringing cases into Sage CRM. But once we're in a record, once we have our case record, that can be workflowed. Typically, it's going to have a workflow such as when it's logged, so initial case creation, moving forward into a status where it's in progress, where it's assigned to a service representative, and it's under investigation, moving on to escalations to other teams if necessary, identifying urgency, linking into service level agreements, etc., to a point where it's become a resolved matter and then finally closed. That's a typical workflow experience, but there are different workflows that you can design, and they are discussed on the community and elsewhere about how you can design workflows around particular business needs. And it's perfectly possible to have multiple workflows available within an organization, which once you're attached to a workflow, you will follow until you need to jump out or complete the particular pattern. So that's the idea of a workflow of that. Um, And the flip side, as I said, of a customer service request is a resolution or a solution. And the solutions entity is an opportunity for you to create a repository of known resolutions to customer service requests. So a case can lead to the creation of a new solution if the resolution is unique or reusable. A solution can be linked to multiple cases that share the same resolution. Support teams can create solutions from those resolved cases. They can link existing solutions during case resolution and so improve service through consistency and reducing the resolution time. All of this, the case and solution entities enable structured, trackable handling of customer service requests, and those workflows streamline the processing while knowledge-based creation empowers faster, informed support. So that's where we are within the course. I've just come really to the end, and thank you very much for coming along. The material will be edited and published on the Sage Support and Training YouTube channel. And next week, we'll be continuing our conversations and training, but this time, instead of looking at customer care issues, we'll start looking at the leads and opportunities and understanding how sales workflow processes work with inside Sage CRM, and then we'll go on and looking at sales forecasting. Well, thank you so much. Let's see if anyone has got any questions. Well, it doesn't look like there are any other questions, so I'm going to say thank you so much for joining me today. Goodbye, and I'll see you next time.